Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads and it's time for my September TBR. You may have noticed I did already post a TBR. That was my Magical Readathon TBR, but I have so many plans for reading in September that I had to break it up into two separate videos. So I have my stacks from that video and I'm hoping maybe to get some overlap in today with other things I need to read this month. So fingers crossed. When it comes to how I did last month, I have already finished my TBR from August, which was kind of down to the wire. I had one book left that I couldn't get on audio and I was struggling to read in print, but NetGalley came through, got me an audio arc, and lo and behold, I actually did succeed, which is good because I need to not go into this month with any extra challenges than the ones I'm giving myself. Because in addition to the Magical Readathon, Mel from Melanor Reads is bringing us a really fun TBR game style readathon. It's a game board. You roll as you go. You can do it easy mode, roll 2 dice. You can do it hard mode, roll 1 dice to make your way through the board, and there's a whole story tied to it. If you go really advanced mode, you can do every single stop on the board, but I'm not quite having time to do that. So I think what we're going to do for that is hard mode. So we'll do our first roll for that as well in this video, and then continue to roll throughout the month. I'll be bringing some vlogs, all of that, to say, let's go ahead and figure out what my Promptball prompts are going to be. Since August reading was successful for my Promptball TBR, we are starting off with 5 quarters and hoping the game is nice. So let's get into it. Starting off with a purple ball. And the prompt for this one is from Around the Year in 52 book, and it's for a book by an author who uses 3 names. So I'm interpreting that as an author with 3 names, first, middle, last kind of name, or first and 2 last names on the cover. For an author who uses 3 names, I'm going to go with a book I've been needing to get to for ages, and that is The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This is in my most recent series priority list. It's part of my hardest reading challenge you'll ever do 2.0 challenge. It is something I've said in multiple videos, I'm pretty sure at this point, that I need to get to, I want to get to. I enjoyed books 1 and 2 in this trilogy, and there's no reason I haven't picked up book 3 yet. This is following Jade, who is a horror fan and going through horrors of her own, and I'm super thrilled to have this on my list. Prompt number 2 is purple. We already have our first duplicate. That's not what I wanted, game. But it's a relatively, I think, easy prompt, and that is also from Around the Year in 52 books for a book with a title fewer than 10 letters long. For Around the Year in 52 books, prompt to read a book with a title that is 10 or fewer letters. I am going to be putting Overgrowth on my list. This is the Illumicrate Starbright edition. I also own one other special edition from Owlcrate and a copy I got from the publisher. It's a sci-fi horror aliens coming. That's really all I know going into it, other than it's by Mira Grant and she's an absolute auto-read author, so I'm excited for this. Prompt number 3. Green. Okay, this one could be easy, could be hard, could be mean. It is to pull 2 more prompts and then either combine them in a single book or read 2 books. So let's go and grab those 2. I think last time I did this, I counted these as duplicates. So green, duplicate. Okay, publisher Random House. So far, that's something that shouldn't be too hard to combine. Let's see what the other one is. Purple again. Well, maybe I can combine for part of this. Yeah, the game's not being nice. From Around the Year in 52 Books, this is to read 2 books with opposites in their title. So if I had a book that had black in the title, I could also read a book that had white in the title. In any case, I'm reading extra books. So yeah, this is going great, really. My next prompt made things complicated because the prompt I pulled was to pull 2 more prompts, and then I could either combine them into a single book or read 2 books. So obviously the ideal when I need to be reading a ton of things this month is to combine things. But then the prompts I pulled were a Random House book, easy, and a prompt that required me to read 2 books anyway. And that was to find books with words in the title that are opposite. So I did manage to get this down to 2 books instead of 3 books. I guess that's a plus. But the books I'm going to be reading are A Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena and No Rest for the Wicked by Rachel Louise Adams. I figured dance and rest to me feel very opposites. The Dance of Lies is a Bloomsbury title, which is part of the Random House family, and both of these are on my list for Magical Readathon, as were the 2 previous books I picked. So far this is going well. No Rest for the Wicked, this is an arc for Minotaur I have. Dance of Lies, this is a Fairy Loot edition and quite a pretty one as well. This is also my Buzzwordathon book because it has dance in the title and we need a event in the title for Buzzwordathon. And then the cover prompt is to find a book with foliage. So this is perfect for that as well. It's also my book for Magical Readathon for something. So this book, I really, really hope I like it because if I feel like I DNF too soon and I can't count it, I need to replace a whole lot of prompts. So that's where we're at with this. This one has to do with dancing and being hired to spy while dancing, maybe. I don't really remember. This one has to do with a town that goes all out for Halloween, but also bad things happen on Halloween, and our main character's father goes missing, I think. Again, I'm going off memory with this, but happy to get these on the list. Prompt number 4. Purple. Stupid purple. I don't like purple anymore. And this one is for a randomized page count. For a randomized page count, I went ahead and used my random number generator, and that was from 104 to 848, which seemed like random numbers, but I looked at my owned unread on my shelves of books that I could potentially read. I excluded a couple that were 1,500 pages that I have plans to read at other times, potentially, definitely not this month. And the random number generator ran, and as you can see, we got 487. Not the ideal, but I have so many books in my stacks that I need to get to this month, I figured something would wind up matching. With this prompt, my ideal is to hit within 50 pages for sure, as close as possible. The one that I am going to pick for this prompt is 479 pages, so I think it's pretty gosh darn close, and that is We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. This is a sequel to Bunny. I am going into this really knowing nothing, which I think is what needs to happen because that's how I went into Bunny and I enjoyed it. I don't know that I ever expected there to be a sequel. This is a book I received from Mary Sue Ricci Books. Prompt number 5. Blue. At least we ended without a duplicate here. Well, another duplicate. Okay, what are the chances? For the 52 book club, I need a book that is 10 or less letters in the title. I put the prompts in from both Around the Year and 52 Books and the 52 book club. They both had apparently the same prompt and they both came out at the same time. That's kind of funny. Now, up to this point, I've actually used all Magical Readathon books. So I'm feeling pretty confident with myself. And now's the point where I think I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten track. And for my second prompt, this one from the 52 Book Club, to read a title that is 10 or fewer letters, I'm going to put on Fate's Bane by C.L. Clarke. This is a little novella I received from Tor. It doesn't have a specific date on it. It comes out in September, but it is a tragic sapphic adventure according to the back. I don't know too much about it, but with a book this short, I don't want to know too much. And it is one that I'm excited to give a try. And Fate's Bane is 9 letters, so perfect. All right, so duplicates. Let's count our duplicates and try not to cry about it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 duplicates. So we stopped counting duplicates at this point, but I do need to pull 4 more prompts and hope the game doesn't make me pull more. Okay, bonus number 1. This one is a poll pick, so that's fun. And then my next prompt was for a poll pick, and that poll is currently up on Instagram, so I don't know yet what is going to get chosen. I will pop in a picture of that, but I will show you the 4 books that I added to the poll. I have The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. This is one that I picked up because Cassidy at Covers with Cassidy was loving it. Maria at Maria Might Read That has been encouraging me to pick this one up. I have been waiting kind of for the audio to come in so I can read it alongside having the physical copy since I've been very much in an audio mood, but this is one I would like to get to. I added Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. This is her most recent release. I went to a book event and got to see her talk, and this one has me very intrigued. It is about a man who's taking advantage of women, marrying them for their money maybe. I don't remember, but it sounded like it was getting in the head of the evil guy, and that just sounded fun. A relatively recent addition to my stack is The Robin on the Oak Throne by K.A. Lind. This is the sequel to The Wren in the Holly Library. Did I get that title right? I don't know. It's one that is just such a pretty edition. Both of the books in this series are, and it would be nice to continue the series before I forget everything. And then the 4th book I put in the poll is Someone Knows by Vi Keelan, or Vi Keelan, I'm not sure. But this is a mystery thriller, I believe. It's a recent Aardvark box book that I picked up. We've got a bookish book, I think. We've got a writer potentially, and there's something, or a writing professor, and someone knows something from her past that she doesn't want them to know. So once I figure out what won the poll, I will let you know here. Bonus number 2. From Pop Sugar, a book where music plays an integral part of the story. And then a prompt from Pop Sugar that gave me a little bit of pause was a book where music is heavily featured. And then I realized I had the perfect book on my want to read shelf. And that is We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. I am a big fan of Grady Hendrix. I enjoy his books in general. And this one I know Lexie at Books with Lexie gave 5 stars. So it's one I've been eager to pick up, and it fits the prompt perfectly. Bonus number 3. For Around the Year in 52 Books, it is to read a mystery or a true crime book. For a mystery or true crime book, I'm going to add another art, and this is one I received from Tor. It's Love Bites, Tales from the Alpha Art Gallery by Cynthia St. Aubin, and this one is book 1, I believe, in a new paranormal mystery series. I think it's a reissue when I was looking into this, because I think it was out previously, or possibly there's other books in the series already out, but this is the start of the series and potentially the start of the series being carried by Tor. Okay, on the back it does say that the series is scheduled to publish 2 books a season for books 1 through 5, starting in fall, which makes sense for this one. And then there are never before published installments in the series coming in 2026 and 2027. So hopefully I enjoy this and continue on with the series. It looks like it's a relatively short, quick mystery read, paranormal, art gallery. That's really all I know. And hopefully our final prompt and it is to read a book that is part of a trilogy. And then thankfully last, I have a book that's part of a trilogy. And for this one, I'm going to be finishing up another trilogy, and that is with Flamebringer by L. Catherine White, and this is the end of the trilogy that began with Hearthstone. It is a reimagining of Jane Austen, but with dragons and all sorts of fantastic creatures. And it's a trilogy that I had started with the first book a couple years back and remember enjoying. So I wanted to continue on with it, but I really had forgotten so much from book one. So I did in August reread book one. And currently, as I'm filming this, I'm halfway into book two in the trilogy. So this is perfect timing to go ahead and finish off this series in September. I have this on my series priority challenge list as well, so I'm getting ahead of the game a bit with this one. So these, plus some digital editions that I don't physically own, are my Promptball TBR books. Not too bad. When you add it to my Magical Readathon and figure about half of these overlap at least, not too bad. Not as bad as I expected, but of course there's always going to be more. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm really excited to be playing the game board readathon from Mel and Eleanor Reads, the Readathon Rebellion. I originally, before I actually filmed anything, was thinking I would just do my first roll, but since I did manage to get some good amount of overlap between my Magical Readathon TBR and my Promptball TBR, I figured let's go ahead and maybe do my first 3 rolls. I tend to do this with game board type games just because I'm not very good at reading one book at a time. It gives me options, and then as I finish prompts, I will continue to roll more books, and I will be vlogging during the month, including some of these rolls as well. So I'm gonna try screen recording this. Okay, so I've got my digital dice. I am going to attempt hard mode, roll a single dice for the month, and hopefully make it through the board by the end of the month. With this readathon, you'll see there are a few green spots on here, and those are objectives that you cannot not do. So the idea would be if you pass them, you can go ahead and combine things, or I'm thinking, depending on how my rolls go, I'll just always kind of stop on the squares, read a book for it, and then roll and move on. Kind of like in the game of life, where you hit certain squares and you can't move on past that until you roll a certain amount, or spend a certain amount in that case. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it currently. Mel is very flexible with this. Make it your game, play with it, have fun. As long as you're hitting those 4 main objectives, you succeed at the readathon. So I think that's my plan. Hopefully we roll some decent numbers and this doesn't take me all month long and 5,000 books in addition to what else I'm reading for the month. We'll see. But let's go ahead and do our first roll. So I'm going to zoom in just a bit so we can see the start a little bit better. And here we go. Roll. 1. Yeah, yep, that tracks. Of course I start with a 1. So that puts me on info gathering right off the bat. So each type of spot on the board has a set of prompts. And what I did is just, instead of making cards and wasting ink and paper, I, of course, you know, am a spinner girl type of gal. So let's pull up my spinner wheel and start recording there as well. This could get complicated in editing. Good luck, future me. Green recording. And I have my different Rebellion wheels here for info gathering. We have this one and spin. Okay, read a book you heard about from a council leader's video. I can actually double up with a few different options on my TBR because we've got Lexie at Books with Lexie, and I'm reading We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. And depending on what wins my poll, I also have The Wind Weaver, and that one definitely came from Cassidy at Covers with Cassidy. So I feel like this prompt is really going to work well for me. And yeah, I think we can assume one of those 2 will fulfill this particular role. So let's do our next roll. Hopefully we get more than a 1 this time. 3. Okay, that's perfect because that lands me on objective number 1, which I have to stop at anyway. So that works well. Okay, objective number 1 is to gather a team. We need to read a book with more than one POV. So for this one, I'm going to put on an arc that I received from St. Martin's Press, and that is The October Film Haunt by Michael Vihant. And I very likely am mispronouncing that, but this one is on sale September 30th, so it's definitely one I want to get to in September. It is a horror. It's been blurbed by Stephen Graham Jones, Paul Tremblay, Nat Cassidy, a lot of authors I really, really love. And it says it's Paul Tremblay's horror movie meets the scope and emotion of Stephen King in a heart-pounding magnetic tour de force about a woman pulled into a cult horror film that is hell-bent on having a sequel. Okay, and then I'm going to do one more roll for now and see where we wind up. Ooh, good, a 6. That is much better than a 1. So that brings me to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Another info gathering. Stop. That's okay. I like gathering information. And let me go ahead and stop recording here. And let's see what we wind up with over here. We're already on the right spinner wheel, so that makes life easy. And let's go ahead and spin again. Ending in an even page number. Okay, theoretically this shouldn't be hard, but then sometimes these always wind up harder than I expect them to, so let me see what I find. Okay, for an even page book, I figured I should go with something that I need to read this month anyway, and the first one I found was Watching Evil Dead by Josh Malerman, Unearthing the Radiant Artist Within. This is a nonfiction book that I received from Del Rey. It's out on September 16th, and it is, I think, about his kind of discovery of horror writing, maybe? I could be totally wrong about that. There's nothing on the back that really gives me any information, but I enjoy Josh Malerman as an author, so I'm really excited to check out what he has to say in a nonfiction capacity. So that's it for my readathon prompts for the moment. I'm definitely going to have more as I get further into the month. But of course, there's a few other things I also have going on for September. I have definitely some arcs to get to. A couple of the ones high on my priority list are Good and Evil and Other Stories by Samantha Schweblin. This is a story collection as noted, and this says it is 6 lucid, strange, and supple stories to lure us into the shadows so that we may confront the monsters of everyday life ourselves. This is translated fiction. The author is a past award winner of the National Book Award for translated fiction and a Booker finalist as well. And this is a gifted copy that I received from Knob. It's coming out on September 16th. And then from Harbor Perennial, I have The Formidable Miss Cassidy by Mahon Bowie. Again, probably not how you pronounce it, but this is a historical fantasy. A Scottish governess arrives in Singapore to take up her new post only to find a host of problems requiring her very unique skills. And I don't know too much more about that, but the cover and the synopsis intrigues me. I am trying this year to make sure I have nonfiction and short stories on my list, but those arcs I just told you about, the Josh Malerman nonfiction and the Good and Evil short stories, will definitely take care of that. And then of course there are buddy reads as well. My classics group on Instagram is going to be returning to Agatha Christie with a Miss Marple mystery, The Body in the Library. We figured a bookish mystery was a good pick, and Agatha Christie is always a fun time to kind of try to see what you can figure out about her mysteries. They're always really well crafted in my experience. And then the Catch-Up Book Club for Faithfallalong is starting the next trilogy in John Gwynn's World of the Banished Lands with A Time of Dread. And this is the Catch-Up Book Club, which is hosted by Becca at Becca in the Books. I am very lucky to be a co-host for this time around, and I am really looking forward to this. I really enjoyed the Faithful and the Fallen series, and this is a trilogy that I am definitely wanting to dig into. These are actually small books relative to most of the books we've picked up for Catch-Up Book Club, so this has me really excited. The live show for this one, I believe, will be happening in the latter half of the month. I don't know if an official date has been announced yet, but there is time in September if you want to join in. Like I said, this is the first part in a new trilogy. It is set in the same world as the first quartet, but I think it's a lot of years later, so I'm guessing you could pick up this trilogy even if you haven't finished the first 4 books. So with that, and keeping in mind I already had a whole TBR for the Magical Readathon come out, I think that's enough for the moment. I have a lot of plans with the Readathon Rebellion and with continuing on with my Connections Reading Challenge and just so many books that I want to get into. We're starting to head towards fall and I'm definitely looking forward to spooky season reading. So some of that may creep into my September reading, even more so than what I already have on my TBR. We shall see. Let me know in the comments below, are you participating in the Readathon Rebellion? It will of course be linked down below and I would encourage it because you can make of it what you want. You can go easy mode, hard mode, impossible mode of hitting every single stop. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, leave me a sword emoji for the next John Gwynne series. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in my readathon reading, my thoughts on any of these books, and my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.